Okay, so we're here with Burnley supporters.
Liz?
Rat it.
So the $1 million question to start it off with, are you staying up this season, in your honest opinion?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. All you need is 3 teams worse than you, and there'll be 3 teams worse than us.
Well,
I don't know who, but there will be.
That's one of the next questions, because what is your season expectations? Where do you think you'll finish this season?
Towards the bottom, but definitely not in the relegation zone.
Who have you got for relegation? Who do you reckon will go down?
Luton.
Yeah. Is Luton and Sheffield just a given? Because obviously you have seen the most and most Premier League fans. You've played all last season with them.
Sheffield are tricky.
I think Bournemouth are down. I think Bournemouth will struggle this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've had their time. They'll struggle. They've run out of steam. Luton, yeah, probably not quite enough. And then I think there'll be a surprise one. There's always someone that gets dragged down and starts to fall apart, but I'm not saying who.
What about Sheffield United? Because we literally just hammered them last week. Could that have repercussions and do their confidence a world of trouble? Or?
No, I think they can come back from it. I think all they need is a 2 or 3 and they'll have a good run.
Yeah.
And the thing is, well, you come up, you expect it. If you come up from Championship, you expect 2 or 3 spankings across the season. They're going to come, they're going to happen, so you're ready for it, it's out the way. And it's not like it's like Crystal Palace or someone like that smashed them. It's a Champions League team that have smashed them, so they won't be bothered by that at all, I don't think.
Well, we've seen that some pundits were not calling, but they said there was pressure on his head after last week. It always baffles me when you get one of the newly promoted managers come up and they get relegated because they haven't had a budget or whatever, and they get sacked. With Kompany, I don't get that impression. I think even if a worst case scenario he did get relegated, it just doesn't see. There seems to be like a good partnership between the owners and Kompany. Is that right, or
I think it falls apart. If Kompany's not there, it falls apart. I'm not sure. Did you watch that Mission to Burnley, that 4-part series? I'm not sure. They've done a good job, but it's all been Kompany. I think if he goes, I'm not sure they've really got.
Well, he changed everything for you guys.
Sorry, Alan Pace, but I'm not convinced that I think it's Kompany. He's the brains, definitely.
But he also seems to be committed to the team. He's not. I don't get the feeling he's not another Owen Coyle anyway. That he's going to say he's stopping and then disappear for a bigger team. Yeah. He's got a new young squad and he's got to have time to break them in and get them working together.
Do you think he will get that, like a kind of 3 or 4, 5 years? It seems like, I say, from what I've seen with him and the owners, there seems to be very good partnership there. It doesn't seem to be any fractiousness or whatever. The owners have got their heads screwed on. Kompany's obviously there for the long term potentially.
Yeah, last season he had a new team, didn't he? We'd had so many leave and so many come in, and it took a while for them to gel. And I think they will gel. But he's long-term planning because he's getting these young lads in and he's sending them out on loan to build themselves up. And 3, 4, 5 years, who knows what'll happen?
Yeah. Do you think you'll have him for 5 years? Because it's a case of if he does get a top job, does really well.
2 or 3, he is going to get snapped up at some stage. You've just got to get everything we can out of him. Let him run the club. Let him develop everything, and then hopefully the foundations are there so that when he does go, someone can just pick it up and carry on. But he will go. That's the reality of being a Burnley fan, isn't it? You're not one at top clubs. You're a stepping stone for people.
We had it up here for many years.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And you've got, you're made in Burnley. He's Newcastle. Eddie Howe, ex-Burnley. Trips, ex-Burnley. Yeah. Chris Wood was here last season, gone. Nick Pope, ex-Burnley. You're only doing so well because of us.
Well, it was the Chris Wood thing that we really put the pressure on you guys when we signed him. We took your star man away.
Agent Wood was sent him here to not score, so we'd say.
He's always offside, is Chris Wood, so it don't matter.
And it's a bit far too early to be chatting yet. But in January, what's the kind of expectations? You know your squad. What are you kind of hoping for in terms of what positioning? And is there a kind of budget that you're hoping for?
I've no expectation. I live way down south now, so this is my first game at season. I don't see him anywhere near as much, so I can't really say too much on that, mate. You've got season ticket.
I've got season ticket. You get used when you're a Burnley fan. You just don't expect anything. You take what you can get, basically, and you just carry on supporting the Clarets through thick and thin. Ups and downs.
9-10 years of Dyche not having any money to spend whatsoever. When you do get some money, you're like, oh, what do we do with this?
Yeah. How has it been under Kompany compared to Dyche? Because obviously he had his own tactics, he had his own players. It's a full facelift that you've gone through within such a tiny bit of time as well.
we're definitely seeing more passing. It's a passing game. It's a building up, using the space game instead of a hoof it up from one end of the field to the other game, which is what Dyche did a lot of.
Oh yeah, you can't. Like I'll never criticise Dyche. I love Dyche, love what he did for the club, but I think from what I hear, I think people had enough. It was just grim, attritional football. Whereas now you going, okay, we might concede 3 or 4, but you'll see a decent game. We'll have a go. It'll be exciting. So, from chatting with mates that are Burnley fans, I think they're all happy that it's exciting. It's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and just off topic a little bit, you mentioned Dyche as well, former manager. He's now at Everton. It could be that you're competing with him for a last relegation slot or whatever. Yeah. What's your thoughts on what he can do for Everton? Do you think they're going to get sucked into it? And do you think he can drive the club on? He's obviously working with a limited budget.
I think the issue is the club. I don't think it's him. I think that Everton feels a bit like United. It's just for years just become a bit of a shambles of a club. It needs a whole overhaul. So he can only work with what he's got. I think it's bigger issues at Everton from my limited knowledge.
Do you think they'll finish higher than you guys, or do you reckon the other way around, or how do you see it? Because they're tipped for relegation.
We'll finish above Everton. That's what I'm saying.
I think Dyche will pull them through, or like last season, just be on the cusp of relegation. And good luck to him. He works hard with a limited budget. But the problems are not, like Jono said, the problems are not just the manager, it's the whole club structure.
Yeah, right. Expectations for today?
Expectations probably not that high, but be happy to get a result. Yeah. Take a point.
Okay. The $1 million question to start straight up. Yeah. Are you staying up this season?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that heart or is that head?
No. We'll get better under Kompany. We did last year. We started slow. We got better. We've had a tough run of games at the start of the season. We'll come good.
Yeah. Talking of the tough run that you've had, you played Man U, you've played Man City, and you've had Tottenham. Kind of similarities with Newcastle, where you've had a very hard start of the season. Is it kind of going to turn around? You've got Luton on Tuesday. Is that more important than the Newcastle match?
Both important. Every game's a game you can get a point. So, look, today we take a point. Obviously, we play Luton and want to win. So, all important. Yeah, every game's an opportunity.
Who is getting relegated, in your opinion? Because it's widely tipped that the 3 that went up, it is kind of every season, but this season it seems that the pundits are saying a bit more. Who's going to go down, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think Luton and Sheffield are going to struggle. I think I picked them 2 straight out, and then there's a group of clubs together. I mean, Burnley, Everton, Bournemouth, Forest. It could be one from many. So yeah.
You had to put your money on it. Who would you say?
At this minute, let's go. Maybe Bournemouth. Yeah.
That's what the last guy said as well.
Yeah, maybe Bournemouth.
Yeah. In terms of the other 2 teams that came up as well, Luton and Sheffield, you've seen Luton get absolutely spanked here last week. Yeah. Are they totally written off? Everyone seems to write them off. You've seen them more than Newcastle fans and whatever last season.
Look, Luton didn't have one of the strongest squads when they came up. They have strengthened, to be fair. I think they've done better in the window than Sheffield have, but they're coming from so far back. I think realistically Luton will do well to go down a stronger team than they came up. And Sheffield, they had a bad window. They lost the 2 best players, arguably. They've replaced them, fair enough, but I don't think they've really strengthened. So again, I think, yeah.
And thoughts on Kompany, because he's come in from an outsider who's not seen it. He's had a massive facelift to do. Played one type of football to another. Done that in such a short space of time. Dominated the league last season. Yeah. What's your kind of thoughts on the way he's playing and stuff at the minute compared to obviously under Dyche?
Yeah, it's great. I'd never knock the Dyche years. He did a brilliant job keeping us in the league. But towards the end, it just got a bit hard to watch. So it's going down for a year, winning lots of games of football, playing nice football. It's been refreshing. So I think he'll do the business this year. I think he knows his stuff. He works really hard. I think we bought well over the summer. I think we've got a lot of young players who'll develop well, come on later in the season. And I think we'll be all right.
Has relegation helped you? It's a very weird thing when people say that. Is that true, do you reckon? Or?
In truth, yeah, I think it has. We had a really old squad. Lots of players near the end of the contract as well, so we didn't have much value in the team, and it needed freshening up. We needed some new bodies in. We had a couple of quiet windows before. It needed new bodies in, freshen it up, bit of hunger, bit of appetite, different approach, different mentality. Yeah, I think we needed it. I think it's worked.
And I said this to the last group as well. It always baffles me when you see newly promoted managers get sacked. when they get relegated around, like, what do you want them to do, sort of thing. With Kompany, I don't seem to get that impression. It seems like he's pretty secure in the job, even though he's had some bad results already. Is that going to continue all season, or do you reckon any pressure could sort of get on if you do get relegated?
I hope it doesn't. I think he deserves it. He deserves the season for the job he did last year and getting us up. And look, he's talks about building something not just for this season but for the next few years.
Will he get that time at Burnley, do you reckon?
I think so, yeah. I think our chairman really likes him, and so he should. So yeah, I think he will.
Yeah. Will he stay? That's the opposite side of the coin. If he does really well in the Premier League, is he like, because he's obviously got the Man City connections, it seems like potentially he'll go there in 5 years or whatever. Do you think he's the type of person who could get poached?
Yeah, absolutely. At some point he's going to go. We're not keeping hold of him forever. We know that. Assuming obviously he keeps doing a good job. If he doesn't, then maybe people won't want him. But I think he will. I think clubs will come in for him, whether it's City next or somebody else, probably somebody else, and eventually wind up at City. So yeah, we know he's probably here for maybe another couple of years, and then he'll probably move on.
Yeah, and then it's very, very early to be chatting about this, but January transfer plans. What do you kind of need in January? Now you've had a couple of games. Is it strikers, defenders? What do you think?
Fullbacks, yeah. We're missing. So we've got Charlie Taylor starting at left back.
Premier League experience, not been impressed?
No. Look, we've all been calling for Charlie Taylor to get back in the squad. I just don't think Kompany likes him there. And even if he does, we've suddenly got one. We've got other people who can play there, but it always feels like a bit of a square peg in a round hole. So definitely a left back, and maybe a right back as well, because we feel a bit light on cover for Roberts if he goes.
And then score prediction for midweek.
For midweek.
And Newcastle, if you want to do Newcastle first.
Today,
tough game for you, though.
Tough game today. I can't predict us to lose. That'd be negative. So I'll go 1-0. For midweek against Luton, look, we were comfortably a better side than last year. We've strengthened more than they've strengthened. We should be beating Luton. So 2-1 for midweek. Yeah.
And then Newcastle, who do you not want to see in the lineup today? There'll probably be some rotation with the extra.
Wilson. Yeah. Callum Wilson always scores against us, yeah.
Even with Isaac and stuff?
Yeah, no, Callum Wilson, keep him away.
Yeah, okay, absolutely. Okay, so we're here with Burnley fans.
Yeah, Ellis, Jason.
Right, $1 million question before we start. Are you getting relegated this season, or are you staying up?
We're going to stay up this season. It'll be tight, it'll be close, but we're staying up.
Staying up.
Yeah.
So in that case, who's your three for relegation? Who's going down this season?
Luton, Sheffield United.
I'm
saying Everton just because fuck. I'm allowed to swear on this. Yeah, fuck Everton. Then there we go. Yeah.
So you guys have seen a bit more of Sheffield United and Luton than us.
Yeah.
Everyone's wrote them off, from pundits, everyone. Is that right? You have seen them all of last season. You played against them a few times last season. Are they just?
I think last season we were just better than both of them. Like, I know they beat us 5-2, but that were a bad game for us. We were a better side than them.
Yeah. So are they 20th and 19th? Do you reckon?
Luton are 20th, but without a doubt, Luton are 20th. Sheffield United, we'll see.
Okay. And then what do you reckon for relegation?
I say the same, Luton, Sheffield United, and I mean, look, Everton know that they can survive. They know what to do to survive. Third one's a bit difficult. I hope we are way above that by the time it comes to any conversation. But
you had to put money on it? Where would you go?
I'd say we stay up. Money on it.
Above 15.
Maybe Forest.
Okay.
Depending on what happens. We've seen their form at home, and we just need to start scoring some goals. We start scoring some goals and you'll see a complete difference in Burnley.
You mentioned Everton going down. Now it's managed by a former one of your managers. What's your thoughts? Is it more Everton or is it more Daesh?
I'll have a hot dog.
See, fella,
I think it is more Everton, but Dash's style of football, because of what we've seen with Kompany, Dash's style of football, it does just literally battle relegation. And with sides in league this year, I think they might go down.
And exactly the same. You see, it's going to go Forest, it's going to go Everton. Who can get that home form and stuff like that? We know that we're going to start scoring goals, and as soon as we do, it's going to be a different story, I think. You all saw the game against Man United. You know we can play football.
Like that. Against Man United, 62% possession, that is a good game.
You have had a very tough, kind of like Newcastle, the fixture list have not been good to you very early doors. Is it a case of you've kind of withstood that, now it's a case of now you pick up points because you've got an easier game midweek?
I wouldn't even say we withstood it. Like teams have turned us over. Villa, Tottenham,
Man U result
City.
wasn't too bad, though.
No, that were all right, but the 3 games before that, they turned us over. And that's just what happened. But I do think eventually we will start playing better and we will start picking up points.
Yeah, a few of the people that we spoke to, other Burnley fans before this as well, they said that they're hoping to kind of keep company for a couple of years and stuff like that. I'm always surprised, I said this to them as well, when a newly promoted manager goes up, they get relegated, they get sacked, they say, what do you expect them to do? If he goes down, would you keep a hold of him, do you reckon?
I would happily, depending on how we go down.
Okay.
If we go down bottom of the league, worse than Derby call it, no, get rid of him, because people will pay money for him. But if he puts in a fart, nah, I'd keep him next season as well.
Players now, though, he's had that big, massive face.
And honestly, from how we played with Dash to how we play with Kompany, it's brilliant for Burnley. We've turned how we've watched football. We were used 4-4-2, lump it forward, anti-football as people call it. But under Kompany, the football we play, if it can click, I think we'll stay up, it'll do well.
Was getting rid of Dyche one of the best things that happened to you? Because it's a total chalk and cheese way of football.
Yeah.
He did the job, everything like that, but now it's a completely different team, it's a completely different playing style. Is it better now as a fan?
Because of what Burnley fans feel of Dash, personally I'd have given him rest at season. I know he went down anyway, but I'd have given him that because I wanted to see him have a good bar. He did everything for us. But the style and the football and the players under Kompany is on another level. Like, he's a miles better manager than Dash. He plays better football, more attractive football. It's just better. But Dash had that Burnley in him. I know it's weird to say, but he understood the club. I don't think Kompany and new owners understand the club the same as Dash and the previous owners did.
They've got a good dynamic from what we've seen from the outside, the owners and Kompany. Do you see him being poached if he does keep you guys up? Do you think that's a possibility?
I think he's pretty loyal, to be honest. I mean, just going back to the Dash question, Kompany was obviously suited to get us that winning championship and just show how you can absolutely rule a league. None of us were expecting that at the start of last season. He's proved us wrong. We've got to trust him.
Have you seen enough from him? I know it's been losses predominantly, but have you seen enough from the matches? Good performance, first game of the season, I thought, against Man City, despite the result. Have you seen enough against Premier League opposition that he will do the job?
There's a lot more adaptability with Kompany, whereas Dash played a very AB football. Now, who would I bank on to keep us up in a Premier League? Still Dash for me, I'm afraid, but we've got to trust Kompany. The guy, as we've said, that football won't work at Burnley. It did. That player won't fit at Burnley. They have. It's just an adaptability for us now, and we've got to trust him at the end of the day. If he goes down, I just hope he gets every chance he can
If
to
he goes
prove
down, we've
himself.
got 6 points at Blackburn Rovers, so it don't matter, does it?
And then last question as well. I know it's very early, but January. You mentioned goals as a big thing that you're looking for. What are you looking for January-wise? What sort of positions?
I feel like we're still weak at the back. Like, I feel like playing Premier League, they press us, we don't know how to handle it. I feel like we need some more defensive, solid player, and maybe a striker that'll score game in game out.
Any names?
I trust Kompany. Honestly, it's like I could say whatever names I want, Sam, but if Vincent doesn't want him in his team, who cares? He's the manager, he puts that team out. We trust him.
Man's an experience thing. At the end of the day, we need just a couple of players to go with the youth we have, and just get that experience in and just help rule the game, really. We've looked good in spells, but at the same time we have looked a bit lost at the same time. So
I asked you this off camera. What's the score prediction for today?
I'm going
What's
3-1
head
Burnley.
and heart? What's your head and
Now
heart?
that we're in front of camera, I'm going 3-1 Burnley, but I would take a point.
I'll go 2-1 Newcastle, I think, because I'm sorry, I've got to be right. But Burnley do have the capability to score, and to be honest, I think we're going to score first, so we'll see how it goes.
Have you seen the team sheets as well? There's no Botman. Isaac's managed to play fit. He starts. Who are you most worried about today?
I just don't want Trippier to do well. He used to be our player. I don't want him whipping assists in against us.
He's coming off the back of 3 assists last week.
You know what it's like when a player's played for your club and they do well against you. It hurts, and we don't want that with Trips.
I don't like Gordon. I find him to be a very sly football player. So
Because of what happened at Everton or what?
To be honest,
I
I don't like his technical play, to be honest with you. But
you paid 40 million for Tom Daly. That's all that's gone on there.